Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm not going to do a trailer reaction. Instead, I'm going to do a semi-mini spoiler review to the latest Marvel movie that just released this past weekend, which is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, there's a lot to dig in with this movie. This is the last movie of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise that will be directed by James Gunn. Again, like I said, this is a mini spoiler review, so for the most part, there will be spoilers in this review. So if you have not seen it, please, I highly recommend you guys check it out. It is such a great movie. A lot of action, a lot of humor, but also a lot of emotional moments. A lot of emotional moments, which is basically why I'm doing this video regarding the things I wanted to talk about. So much to dig in, but I really think that this is a movie you should see. Again, I know some people, I've seen it on social media and online, that have been complaining about if there's superhero fatigue, if Marvel is losing its momentum and whatnot due to the fact that some of the Marvel movies after Endgame haven't been so great. Which, to be fair, not all of them. There have been some really precious hidden gems in Phase 4, and some of them, from in my opinion, that I think were the greats are Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh, sorry. No Way Home. Sorry. I'm like getting all of my homes mixed up. But yes, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Spider-Man No Way Home, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I thought they did a really good job paying their respects to Chadwick Boseman. And of course, I know Ant-Man, a lot of people are not a big fan of. I actually haven't. I found myself entertained and enjoyed the movie, but I don't think it's the greatest MCU movie out there. So I understand why some people are really hesitant, considering with Ant-Man, Quantumania, Eternals was the first MCU movie to get bad reviews. Black Widow was kind of meh. Some of the Disney Plus shows, some were great, some were not great. So I understand why some people were really are very skeptical right now with Marvel. So I'm pretty sure there was some worry behind the scenes for Guardians 3, and then also considering the fact that James Gunn is leaving Marvel. Well, of course, he finished his deal with Marvel. Let's put it that way. His contract is over. He did all three movies. Now he's going over to. Hold on, there's a helicopter going over the house. You guys probably hear it. But anyway, James Gunn is now moving over to DC. So there's been a lot of talk about superhero stuff and whatnot on social media. And if you guys have been on social media and online, you know what I'm referring to. So again, some people were probably really skeptical about going to see this movie, especially after how Ant-Man Quantumania, which I did kind of enjoy, but I know a lot of people didn't, and it got really bad reviews. So I understand. Um, People were kind of skeptical going into this. And let me tell you, like I said earlier, this movie delivers. It, in my opinion, out of all the three Guardians movies, I think this one is my favorite. I really do. I need to go watch it again. I only saw it once, but I need to go watch it again just to, of course, see some things you probably missed, some Easter eggs here and there. But yeah, I mean, again, like this is the last movie with our Guardians, our favorite Guardians. Again, like I said, I'm gonna go into some spoilers here and there, but I'll give you some brief tidbits as to pieces of the movie. But I want to talk about a particular part of the movie that I really want to talk about, which emotionally really affected me, I guess you could say. Um, you know, Again, going to the end, everyone was worried if the Guardians would die, which spoiler alert, none of them die. They just retire or the group disbands. They find new adventures and try to find a new meaning in their life. Peter Quill goes back to Earth to reconnect with his grandfather. So will he be back with the Guardians? We don't know. Like I said, he doesn't die. So, but since he's on Earth, and at the very end of the post-end credit scenes, it says Star-Lord will return, which makes me wonder. I mean, he's on Earth. He might come in contact with an Avenger who might need his help, right? So there's that possibility of him returning because he comes in contact with an Avenger. So I could see that happening possibly in the upcoming Avenger movies with Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. I could see that happening. Maybe the Avengers, like Falcon, who's now Captain America or Spider-Man come in contact with him and they need his help. I could kind of see that happening. I'm just saying, I could see that happening. He's on Earth, he comes in contact with an Avenger, he's gonna gear up as Star-Lord again. I can see that happening. Gamora, which is not our Gamora, this is an alternate timeline version of Gamora. She found her new family with the Ravengers, and of course Peter Quill is still heartbroken, still trying to reconnect with Gamora, but like she keeps telling him again and again, I'm not the Gamora that you know. I have no memories of that. And it's true, she doesn't, because this is a completely different Gamora. And it's hard for Peter Quill to grasp that, to understand that. But you could tell that there is still chemistry between them. There's still a connection. It's like, I guess it's kind of like what Doctor Strange said to oh my gosh, what was her name? Rachel McAdams' character, Christine. I love you in every universe, right? And I think that's kind of the connection going on here with Peter Quill and Gamora. And any universe that they're in, they're always gonna somehow find a way to be with each other. Like it's like they're destined to be soulmates, kind of thing. And so it's like, yeah, Gamora doesn't have the memories of being with Peter Quill. She doesn't, because she wasn't there. That's not her. But she still feels something with him. So again, in the words of Doctor Strange, I love you in every universe, and it's like that's the relationship I kind of see with Peter Quill and Gamora. So interestingly, they don't end up together in this, so it's bittersweet. But Star-Lord might come back, and Gamora's with the Ravengers, so who's to say that the Ravengers won't show up at some point in the MCU? So they might rekindle something in the future Avengers movies. We'll see. Drax helps some kiddos on Planet Nowhere, right? So he lost his family as we learned in the first movie, so he now becomes kind of like a foster father figure to these kiddos who were rescued from the High Evolutionaries' evil experiments. So that's going to be an interesting road for him. Mantis tries to find her new purpose in life. She even adopts these huge tentacle creatures. I don't know what they're called, but they're from the second movie. She adopts them as her pets. And I will say this, I do kind of wish there was more Peter Quill and Mantis sibling interactions, because in the Christmas special, we learned that Peter Quill and Mantis are half siblings. They have the same father, but different mothers. But I kind of wish there was more brother and sister interaction. I know Peter Quill is always paired up with Gamora, and Mantis is always paired up with Drax. Like in all their scenes, those are the two pairs that are always together. Whether romantic or platonic, but those are the two pairs that are always, whenever the team has to split up, Peter Quill is always paired with Gamora or Nebula, and Mantis is always paired up with Drax. But I do kind of wish there was at least one scene where Peter Quill and Mantis had to figure something out as brother and sister. That would have been really cool to see. That's kind of like my one pet peeve. I wish there was more brother and sister interaction between Peter and Mantis. Aside from that, Groot is still Groot. He stays on Planet Nowhere with Rocket to help the new Guardian members, so that's really cool. And also we had Adam Warlock introduced in this movie, which to be honest, I was kind of hoping more of Adam Warlock, but I feel like this was just an introduction to the character. He didn't really wow me as much in this movie, but I will say his performance from the actor was kind of funny. He's kind of like Vision, but a little on the dumber side, as they even commented in this movie. He's still developing, I guess you could say, as his mother, the sovereign queen, whatever of her planet, said. He came out of his cocoon too early, so he's still not grasping certain things. His common sense is still a little slow. So there were some funny moments in terms of that, and he is super powerful. But I just felt like his role wasn't as big in the movie. Like it wasn't necessary for him to be in the movie. But you see him joining the Guardians at the very end, and he's kind of like an anti-hero. He stops working for the High Evolutionary and the whole his sovereign people, gold people planet, right? And decides to join the Guardians. So that's what happens. So of course you're gonna expect more of him in future movies, right? He's a new Guardian member now. And then of course we have Nebula. Nebula, of course, is because she knows that Gamora is not her actual sister, but they do kind of keep in contact with each other here and there. But it's only in terms of like money. If they need something, they'll pay each other, kind of stuff. So it's more like a business relationship between the two. But I really like Nebula in this. Her arc, in my opinion, is when you see Guardians of the Galaxy as a whole, she, in my opinion, has one of the best arcs. She really goes. She really is an anti-hero. She, goes from being an assassin of Thanos to being a true hero, and you kind of see why she is the way she is. Kind of like Rocket, they were both tortured and taken apart, and that's why they have that kind of aggressive personality. And you realize deep down inside that they do have empathy, I guess you could say. It's just hard for them. It's just hard for others to see it, or it's hard for them to show it. Um, but Karen Gillan as Nebula, she does a really good job. I really enjoyed her performance. She's really fun to watch. In my opinion, I think in this movie, if I had to choose between Nebula and Gamora, I think I enjoyed watching Nebula more. Maybe because Gamora is not the Gamora we know, so it's kind of like we're starting all over with Gamora being the crazy assassin person versus Nebula. Of course, she's changing. So it's like Gamora, her character, her personality is like regressing, but it makes sense why it's regressing because it's not our Gamora. Versus Nebula, you see a progress, right? She's learning her life lessons and trying to be a better person. And she, again, like she said, she's going to lead Planet Nowhere with all these new refugees on the planet, trying to help rebuild society and all that stuff. Sean Gunn, who's James Gunn's brother, I forgot the character he plays, but he's learning how to maneuver that arrow with telepathically, right? Yondu's arrow. So he had his funny moments. Cosmo the dog was funny too. I like her Russian accent. She kept saying she was not a bad dog, that she was a good dog, and so that was kind of funny. But yeah, there were some really funny moments in this. But what I really wanted to talk about in this video, I think what really hit a lot of people emotionally was Rocket Raccoon's back story, his origin story. Oh my gosh, it's tough to watch. And I've told some friends and family, regarding this movie. And we seen it in the trailers. We seen it in the trailers. We got hints about it in the first Guardians movie. That Rocket obviously is this raccoon that was experimented on. But I guess what we didn't expect is how was he experimented on? And for what reason was he experimented on? You know, when I saw the first Guardians movie, of course, I didn't know too much about them. I didn't read any comics prior to watching the movie about them or anything, but you are kind of aware, okay, like this raccoon was experimented on, but you got the sense that maybe he was experimented on, like, of course, to have more human-like qualities, to advance his species, maybe. But when you see this third movie, and when you meet the villain that is responsible for Rocket's tragic backstory, the High Evolutionary, you don't. The High Evolutionary. I think what's so scary about this villain is that sadly there have been, and there probably still are people who are like that. People who want a perfect society. They view themselves as this godlike figure. But the way they show it is through just pure evil. And it's sad, like I say, because there have been, and there are people who like that. History has shown it. I mean, of course, you got those dictators, infamous dictators, say from World War II, right? Like Hitler and whatnot. Um, the concentration camps, that has happened. It's happened. Um, of course, you know the history of slavery, how families were split apart, how people were mistreated. Um, and I think what makes it even more hard when watching this movie is that it's the High Evolutionary, the test subjects that he uses are animals. And then you find out later in the film that not only is he using animals, but he's also planning on using children. And it's sad because, again, you know that stuff like that happens in real life. There are people who abuse animals. There are people who abuse children. And see, like, even just talking about it makes me upset. It's hard to talk about. So even when I went to go watch this movie, I didn't expect how intense it was going to be. That even I went with my two cousins and some friends, and my youngest cousin, she's only 9. She said she enjoyed the movie, but she said that at some points she kind of had to cover her eyes when it came to the death scene of Rocket's friends, Lila, Floor, and Teefs. That was heartbreaking, and you know, I think what makes it hard is like, people argue like, oh well, you kill animals for food, you kill animals for clothes, and it's like, yeah, okay, yes, of course, I eat my meat. I'm not gonna lie, but there's a humane way to do it, and then there's an inhumane way to do it. Why let the animal suffer, kind of thing. Um, and when you see this movie, you just see the poor animals, Rocket, Lila, Floor, Teeth. Kind of reminds you of the little punk kid Sid from the first Toy Story movie, how he would just break the toys apart and repair them in different toys, like just manipulate their limbs and whatnot. And that's what the High Evolutionary was doing to these animals. It is animal cruelty, because at the end of the day, these characters are still animals. Rocket is still a raccoon. Lila is an otter. Floor is a rabbit. Teefs is a walrus. These are still animals, and he, cut apart their limbs and put machines on them, and man, it was just brutal, brutal. And I think if you're a pet lover, because I'm a pet lover, I have a dog, I have a cat. So when I'm watching this movie, I'm like thinking about them, and it's like, man, yeah, like, why, for any living soul, whether human or animal, why have them go through that? It there's no need. So it is hard to watch. It is hard to watch, and I think if you have little ones, considering that this is a PG-13 movie, it might be hard for them to watch too, because these are cuddly, cute animals, right? When you see Floor, the cute little bunny with all these machines on her, you feel something. When you see cute little Lila, who's an otter with this machine on her, she gets shot, literally gets shot in the chest by the High Evolutionary. You feel it. So it might be hard for them to watch. And I know it affected me. It really did. So it could be pretty tough. Um, so yeah, and the fact that when you see later on in the movie that the High Evolutionary was going to use children, it's like, man, like, this guy is this in my opinion, watching this movie, it made me think that the High Evolutionary has to be one of the best villains in the MCU. That's just my opinion. You guys might be like, nah, I don't think so, whatever. It's just my opinion. It's subjective, but it's just the way the actor who played the High Evolutionary. If you guys know his name, let me know down in the comments below. But just how he had this evil presence. He had that. He thought he was better than everybody. Again, kind of like these evil dictators from history, right? Hitler with the concentration camps. How they thought they were better than other people, and those who were inferior, they would experiment on them and just torture them. And that actor brought that presence into the film, and I was scared of him. I was scared of him. I was scared for the children, the animals, all of them that were in there. And yeah, it was something. It was really something. Um, and I guess watching this movie, does it does have a message. Even my little cousin, who's only 9 years old, she caught on. She's like, this movie has a message. You know, we gotta take care of and be kind to all living souls, humans and animals alike, right? So, you know, we gotta be kind to all. We gotta be kind to all, and it makes you think. It really makes you think. Um, I have come across people who is just, they may have a pet, but they'll just say, oh, it's just an animal, like whatever. Um, it doesn't. I don't need to feed it that much, or I'm not gonna take it to the vet. Like what for? It costs too much money. Like yes, I am aware, but if you're gonna have this pet, it's there's a responsibility that comes with it. Take care of it. If you're planning on having kids, kids are a big responsibility. You gotta take care of them, right? Be kind and taking care of every living soul, right? Humans and animals, right? And I think what this also shows in regards to the animals, Rocket, Lila, Teeths, and Floor, a lot of people, like again, I just said, they just say, oh, they're just animals. They don't feel nothing. But animals do feel something. I mean, why do dogs wag their tails when they see their owners, right? Because they feel happy. And when you saw these four friends playing in their cages, they felt happy. And when Rocket lost Lila and screamed, I mean, props to Bradley Cooper, man. Props to Bradley Cooper. His performance as Rocket in this, especially in the flashbacks, was something. It was something else. To think that you could feel something from a CGI character, man, the way Rocket screamed when Lila died and got shot. Oh man, you felt it. It kind of it's like, I guess, again, like I said, I think if you're a pet lover, if you're an animal lover, you will feel like be impacted with this movie. And I'm pretty sure for those who lost a pet, right, whatever kind of pet you had, right, dog, cat, hamster, get fish, guinea pig, turtle, you name it, whatever kind of pet you had, when you lose a pet, you feel something. And I have come across people who would say, like, oh, it's just an animal, just get a new one, right? But no, you do feel something. You feel something because you had a bond, a connection with that pet, right? So I think that's why now that this movie's out, and there's such a big discussion on animal cruelty, it's because it's a thing that is true, and that is happening. And when something like that happens, people do feel those sentiments. You feel that. And even in regards to like children, like we saw towards the end of the movie, that were stuck in those cages, um you know kids that are orphaned, no kid has to go through that. So you feel something like, man, like how could someone, it makes you think. That's all I'm gonna say. It makes you think. So I'm not gonna when Rocket, just tore up the High Evolutionary's face after he killed Lila and his other friends, man, it's like, you want Rocket to get that revenge. You want him to get that revenge because it was just brutal. It was brutal. And at the very end, it's like you could tell the High Evolutionary was jealous of Rocket Raccoon's smarts, of his intelligence, because Rocket was able to figure out certain things in the equation and the formula that the High Evolutionary could not see. So you could tell that the High Evolutionary was jealous. And of course, he's beating Rocket up towards the end. You fear Rocket. You want Rocket to face his fears, but you don't want him to die. But the moment the other Guardian members join in and help Rocket out, and when they smack you know the sense out of the High Evolutionary and kick his butt, it's like it's like it's like justice was served. That's all I'm gonna say. It's like Rocket got his sweet revenge, as you may say. But I feel like in a sense it was also, considering that the main group of the whole MCU is called the Avengers, Rocket Raccoon avenged the deaths of his friends Lila, Floor, and Teefs. He avenged their death, right? He was able to help free all the animals. Um, he, the High Evolutionary got the consequences he deserved. And towards the end, when they were trying to free everyone from the High Evolutionary's prison, for some reason it made me think of like Noah's Ark. For some reason, um, you know, the children trying to get off, but also the animals, right, trying to get into the new world, trying to get to this new uh, place, I guess you could say, so that they could survive. So it kind of made me think of Noah's Ark for some reason. But yeah, again, I'm not gonna get into too much else of this movie, this is basically the thing I want to talk to you most about. How this movie does have a clear message in regards to the treatment of children, the treatment of animals. Um, it is something that makes us think, and maybe it's something that a lot of people are afraid to talk about, but it's something that we should take into consideration about. Yeah, it it does make you think, and it makes you very emotional as well. Overall, great movie done by James Gunn. Brings a final conclusion to the Guardians trilogy. Very well done. Very well done. Cast and crew of this movie. And congrats on a fresh Rotten Tomato score around like 81%. I'm pretty sure they're happy about that because I know Quantumania did not get that. And also congrats to $114 million opening weekend. I hope this movie does really well. If you have not seen it, go see it. I highly recommend it. I think this is gonna be like one of my top MCU movies for sure. It's up there. My top favorites of the MCU are Captain America: Civil War, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Black Panther, the first Black Panther, um, Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings, and Spider-Man: No Way Home. But I think this new Guardians movie is gonna come into the top five for sure because it emotionally impacted me, and just me thinking about it, I want to cry right now. It got to me. It really got to me. So yeah, it was such a great movie. I really do think you should check it out. But anyway, guys, let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought about it. If you have seen it, and if you have not, go watch it now. Go watch this movie. It was really great. So yeah, that's my little spiel on all this. So anyway, guys, let me know down in the comments below if there's any tidbit information I should know about the Guardians. What do you expect to see happening in the future of the MCU with the Guardians? So yeah, just let me know down in the comments below, like and subscribe, and as always, take care, guys. Bye.